So as you could probably tell from the title of this video, this is my draft analysis for Season 3 of CUBA. Team name is, password is Tapu Koko, but none of you care about that. So CUBA is a pretty fun league, if you haven't heard of it. The Competitive Ultra Beast Association. And so CUBA started around the time that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon were released, and it was basically, the idea behind it was kind of just to give a testing grounds for like certain mons that were generally considered to be too good for draft league format in most cases, but not things that are like way too good. So we have like this tier of Pokemon called like the S tier, which is filled with things like Magearna, Tapu Lele, Aegislash, Deoxys Defense, Deoxys Speed, Megaladios, Megaladius, like Protean Greninja, Ash Greninja, so things that are, you know, generally banned in draft leagues, but when you allow kind of all of those things, it tends to balance itself out. So it's things like that, not like allowing Lugia or like Groudon, so no super broken Uber shit, but like yeah, so that's kind of CUBA in general. Season 1, I didn't draft a team, but I inherited a team like week 2 or week 3, made it to the playoffs on the backs of Tapu Lele, Hawlucha, and Victini, and that was a pretty fun season. Season 2, I drafted my own team. We got off to a really hot start. I had like, it was insane offense. It was Pheromosa, Tyranitar, Excadrill, Volcanion, fun shit like that. So I started off really well. Ended up barely missing playoffs because I kind of choked towards the end of the season, and a lot of those games were really close. Came down to like 1 or 2 moves, 1 or 2 bits of RNG. That goes for both my wins and my losses, so we were very close to a great season there, and so hopefully things will change a little bit more with Season 3. So yeah, in Season 2 I noticed that a lot of my losses, and some of my wins even, kind of came down to my very aggressive playstyle, and so sometimes it was either I didn't scout my opponent as much as I could have, and then knowing what set that they were, that could have secured me the win, or vice versa. If my opponent had scouted me out a little more, then maybe they could have won. So I knew that I wanted, I definitely wanted to go a little bit more bulky this time around. I tried to do that in Season 2, and it didn't quite work out. There wasn't that defensive backbone that I had really hoped would develop. So yeah, that was kind of like the one plan that I had going into here. I had the 12th pick out of 16 teams, so my initial draft dream was like, okay, if Megaladius can fall to me, and then I can pick up Celesteela, like round 2, those are some solid fucking mons, and that's a great start to the Fairy Dragon Steel core. Super bulky, amazing offenses, like, that's perfect. Of course, Megaladius gets picked 1 pick before me, and Celesteela gets picked 1 pick before me round 2. And so my S tier, my first round pick, is Darkrai. And so yeah, I had the 12th pick, and all 11 mons that I wanted more than Darkrai went before, so that left me with Darkrai. And I'm still not really sure what to make of this thing yet, because I feel like a lot of what made it broken was the fact that in previous gens it got this awesome move called Dark Void, which put the foe to sleep at 80% accuracy. And now in Gen 7 they changed it to only 50% accuracy. So a lot of what made Darkrai really frustrating to play against is now just kind of gone. That being said, it's still 125 speed, 135 special attack, a nice type in dark, and it gets pretty solid coverage here. So a lot of weeks, well, in any matchup, you should be running some sort of dark stab. So dark pulse, ideally off of that 135 fucking special attack here. It also gets like some physical moves too that are nice, like a knockoff and pursuit, but like 90 attack stat here is kind of, it's only decent. I think there are times when I could run mixed Darkrai. I'll probably never go fully physical, but it does have that option as well. So obviously, typical moveset's probably going to have like Dark Pulse, and then it gets a fair amount of coverage as well. So like Focus Blast. This is one of my 3 Z users, so I could see myself running Z Focus Blast many weeks. It also gets things like Ice Beam, and Thunderbolt, yeah. It gets Spatial Rend, which is pretty fun. Sludge Bomb, gonna be seeing a lot of use against fairy types. I don't know, anything else noteworthy? Hypnosis, just for the memes. It does get Swords Dance if I really want to fucking go physical. But then it does get a fair amount of like support options too, like Taunt, T-Wave, Toxic, Trick, Will-O-Wisp. So it gets every fucking status under the sun, which is pretty nice. What it also gets, and this is kind of what makes Darkrai still generally considered to be too strong for draft leagues, is Nasty Plot. So raise the user's special attack by 2. So Darkrai seems to be a mon that'll fit me. It has high speed, high special attack, does pretty well in basically any matchup, because it does get enough coverage, it does get enough tech options, and yeah, it's fast, it's powerful. The only real trouble that it really has is in both momentum, because it doesn't have an option like Volt Switch or U-Turn, as well as dealing with fairies. So after I got sniped on fucking Celesteela round 2, rip, I knew that I wanted momentum on this team to go with Darkrai to help support him, as well as a very good steel type to help against fairies that might try and wall Darkrai or give him problems. So that left me with Jirachi. Now Jirachi is not a mon that I've used in Draft League, so obviously very excited to use it. The most common, the mon that I've used that it looks most similar to is probably Mew, just because both of their move pools are absolutely fucking insane, and they have 100 base stat and everything, of course. What does make Jirachi unique is it has a better type in Steel Psychic rather than just Psychic, and a much better ability in Serene Grace. So yeah, I think Jirachi, with its access to U-Turn and other strong moves that can like take advantage of Serene Grace, such as Iron Head, I think that pairs well with Darkrai here. Again, good at switching into fairies, dealing with fairies, getting momentum, also sets rocks, provides a lot of support as well if needed. So for example, it does get like Wish, Trick is a very common set for Jirachi. What are some other supports it gets? They get Screens, Healing Wish, of course, and yeah, it also has a ton of offensive options too, especially ones that take advantage of Serene Grace. So like Iron Head, I noted earlier, Ice Punch, okay, that 10% chance is now 20% chance to freeze, which I'm sure we've all seen a Jirachi replay where it just fucking procs every freeze, and it's broken as hell. So yeah, I'm excited to use Jirachi. Should be fun. I thought it would pair with Darkrai pretty well. And then, so of course, my draft plan fell apart quickly because I got snapped round 2 and round 1, and then so round 3 I was like, okay, I think there's about 5 Pokemon that I would really want to pair with Jirachi and Darkrai, and that would be really fucking sick. I think they were Zapdos, Infernape, Garchomp, and Megalopoly. Well, those were the first 4. All 4 got fucking taken, and so the 5th one that I wanted the least out of those top 5 was Toxapex. Now, I've used it once before, and it's pretty fun. I don't think I really got as much value out of Pex as I could have in that season, just because with its typing Poison Water, it does have the obvious weaknesses to Ground, Electric, and Psychic. So I knew that I really wanted at least 1 or 2 more defensive mons that would pair with it well, that could take those types. And I didn't really have that the first time I used it, so it was more just like a general check for like water types and shit, and not really bringing out its full potential. So obviously, the ability it's going to be running is Regenerator, regaining health when it switches in. So it's not like direct momentum, but it works well in terms of me switching a lot, you know, trying to get the best 1v1 matchup, eventually bringing in Darkrai and shit. But yeah, Toxapex. Oh, I just remembered. So I mentioned Darkrai was my one of my Z users. Jirachi is my second Z user, and I think we get 3 in total. I think we get 3 in total. We do get 3 Z users in total. So yeah, I forgot to mention that about Jirachi. And Toxapex. So with Darkrai, I knew that with its stats, it would probably be more of a cleaner and sweeper rather than just like straight up wall breaker, as I've used my S tier Pokemon in the past. So like Pheromosa could just blast huge hits into anything, as well as Tapu Lele. So Darkrai needs a little more support in just popping off. Toxapex provides Toxic Spikes, which I think is going to be very much key. I said earlier in this video that I wanted to go more bulky, so Toxapex would... It's pretty fucking bulky. Look at these goddamn stats: 152 defense, 142 special defense. It's not exactly a mon that just you can bring every week and like not think about it. Like, it does have bad matchups. It does have those weaknesses that like everyone tries to exploit. You know, if someone if you're playing against someone with a Toxapex on their team, you know, you need answers. Otherwise, it just kind of runs over you, and just walls everything that you have and slowly drains the life out of you. Kind of like depression. So yeah, that's Toxapex. Very fun. And with Toxapex, because of its weaknesses to Electric, Ground, and Psychic, I knew that I wanted another defensive mon that would pair really well with it. And I decided that mon would be Gliscor, which was taken 1 pick before me. So I ended up with the next best thing in Tangrowth. So another Regenerator mon, covers the ground weakness of Toxapex as well as the electric weakness. Doesn't provide immunities like Gliscor does, but it does resist those types and bring in Regenerator, so it does keep that theme of momentum going here. And this is going to be the first time I've used Tangrowth. It seems like a mon that would fit me really well. I don't really run many Assault Vests on things, but I think Tangrowth could be a fun mon to Assault Vest. It does get a lot of attacks, as you can see on this list here. Everything is an attack until like Leech Seed in its like top moves. Let's see its stats. Yeah, very good defenses. solid attack. Obviously, its weakness is in speed, and then special defense, where the Assault Vest really helps out. When it came to Darkrai, kind of a wish that I had for the grass type Pokemon that I knew that I would eventually draft would be either Mega-Venusaur, which was taken before Tangrowth, so I couldn't get that as a Mega, or Amoonguss. And what's kind of nice about those two is that, you know, they have the obvious Psychic weakness that they can use to bait in a free switch for Darkrai, and Amoonguss also has Spore, which is 100% accuracy sleep. Darkrai's ability, Bad Dreams, hurts people that are asleep. So that was kind of more of a wish of mine than like anything specific. But so I could have gone Amoonguss at some point for this team, but I thought Tangrowth would work better with Toxapex. Plus, like, if I really need to, Tangrowth also has Sleep Powder, so 75% accuracy sleep, which is better than Darkrai's 60% for Hypnosis. So yeah, Tangrowth has a lot of, it has a fair amount of coverage. Common moves are probably just going to be like Knock Off, Earthquake, some sort of Grass Stab, and then one other move. If I'm not running Assault Vest, then probably things like Synthesis, Sleep Powder, Toxic is an option. I didn't even know it gets Pain Split until now, so that's fucking cool. Leech Seed. So yeah, I don't want to like spoil too much of what I want to do with Tangrowth, but yeah, I'm very excited to use it. And then, so at this point, I mentioned that the Mega that I had wanted, Mega-Venusaur, was gone. As well as Mega Lopunny, which was my dream pick for round 3. And then at this point, I decided on a new Mega, which one that I figured that I could wait a while, Mega-Medicham. And I used Mega-Medicham in one season, and I think a mon that pairs really well with it, that people don't really think about, is Silvally. So Silvally is actually my tentative third user. I haven't locked anything in yet, but it's probably going to be Silvally for the Z move. And what Silvally really does for momentum is fucking Parting Shot, which is really one of the best moves in the game for supporting Pokemon like Mega-Medicham, because like Mega-Medicham isn't the bulkiest thing in the game, but like if an opponent has, you know, -1 in both attack stats, Mega-Medicham is going to survive probably any hit that's thrown at it, and then its huge fucking power is gonna like one-hit KO basically anything. Like, here's a fucking insane stat. So I usually use you know, the Pixie Pokemon, or like the base 100 everythings, as a sort of like guideline of defenses, because, you know, 100 everything is pretty solid, and this is just nuts. So we have a offensive Manaphy here, uninvested in defense. High jump kick from a jolly Mega-Medicham is a one-hit KO. So Mega-Medicham is fucking nuts. And so Silvally supports that really well with that Parting Shot move. It also, obviously, ability RKS system allows it to change its type based on matchup, which I think is very extremely underrated when people talk about Silvally. When people who hate Silvally talk about Silvally, they're like, oh, it's a bad Steel type. Oh, it's a bad Fairy type. Well, yeah, you fucking idiot, because you're drafting it to be a specific type, but its role is that it can be fucking any type. It's a wild card. It's a joker, you know. You change it, you set its type based on the matchup. So it's like if you are facing, you know, Zygarde this week, and you really need another ground immune, or not ground immune, ground resist, then okay, maybe Silvally Grass, or what's it called, Silvally Bug, if you want to go there. Or Volcanion is a big one, and not much can resist Volcanion's dual stabs, but a mono water Silvally could absolutely do that. So yeah, provides excellent momentum. It has really nice support options because of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon in Defog and Tailwind, and really Silvally is just a great Gloomon because it can just kind of fit into any team, and it's like its typical moveset's going to be something like, you know, Surf or Bolt Beam, Parting Shot, Defog, and then like Toxic or Thunder Wave or something, which is really nice. Like, this team doesn't need Silvally to be anything other than that. Like, even if it just gets off like Thunder Waves and Parting Shots, okay, Thunder Wave sets up Jirachi flinches, Parting Shot sets up Darkrai and Mega-Medicham switches. It's just an underrated mon, in my opinion. I probably took it a little too early at in the 5th round, but I don't fucking care. Silvally haters, fuck you. The next Pokemon that I picked, as you can see, was Togekiss. This is my first time using Togekiss. My luck with fairies generally has been kind of bad. I think that's because I usually kind of fit them into like one role. So it's like if I had Sylveon, for instance, like I would run pretty much the same set every week or most weeks. Or like Slurpuff, I would usually just do, you know, the standard belly drum sweeper set. And so like Togekiss, I think, will help me be a little more creative because it is more of an offensive fairy. Like, people forget that its highest stat is its special attack. And Serene Grace pairs really well with Jirachi, because obviously more flinch spams. Flinch spamming is amazing. It gets tons of support options too, so like Encore. It's a cleric, so Heal Bell, Wish. It gets Screens. It gets Nasty Plot, Baton Pass. It gets Defog, in addition to Silvally. And then it obviously gets, let's see, Tailwind, recovery options in Roost, and Soft Boiled. It even gets fucking Trick. Its offensive options, you know, Air Slash, of course, Dazzgleam, Flamethrower, Fire Blast, Focus. Oh, I thought it gets Focus Blast. No, it gets Aura Sphere, which is even fucking better, because Focus Blast never misses. No, Focus Blast always... I just fucked up the joke. Focus Blast always misses. Aura Sphere never misses. You know how it goes. So yeah, I think Togekiss is going to be fun. It's another mon that can be fairly bulky, you know, 85, 95, 115. It's not going to just straight up wall a ton of Pokemon, but what it does help against is things like fighting types, which could threaten Darkrai, and then, like, you know, using its support options to gain that momentum. So like Baton Pass into a advantageous matchup, Thunder Wave into flinch spam with Togekiss and Jirachi is going to be nice. Wish Passing is going to be pretty sweet. Yeah, I think that's Togekiss. The next Pokemon that I drafted. So by the time that I drafted Tangrowth, the rest of my draft plan was pretty much set and solid, and I got almost every mon that I wanted. But with Rotom Heat, I kind of took a 50-50 in hoping that the next mon that I wanted would come back to me, and it didn't. So that Pokemon was Lycanroc Dusk. I can talk about that a little more later, but yeah, so it kind of sucks that we missed out on it, but it is nice that we locked in Rotom Heat. Rotom Heat is another defense. It's a somewhat defensive mon that pairs well with Toxapex. Again, provides momentum in Volt Switch. I've used Rotom Heat before. Really nice electric type, really nice fire type. you know what Rotom Heat does. It's a Rotom form that gets overheat. Not much more to say. And so, again, at this point, I knew that the Mega that I wanted was Mega-Medicham. And what works really nicely with Mega-Medicham is Sticky Webs. Just because they make Medicham even more threatening, because now you can outrun a lot more shit. And so I wanted Araquanid here. It got sniped, I think, the pick before me. There's a common trend here of getting sniped by like the people one pick before me, or like 2 picks before me. But so we end up with Galvantula. Ribombee was also gone, so I couldn't take that either. But Galvantula provides those nice fucking sticky webs. Yeah, I don't have much more to say about Galvantula other than sticky webs and Volt Switch is all I really need from it. So let's see. I mentioned earlier with the Rotom Heat pick that in the last, 2/3 of this draft, that my plan went pretty much perfectly, except for missing out on Lycanroc Dusk. So Lycanroc Dusk was nice because it had a nice speed, 110 speed, 110 base speed. It's a very good attacker, with Tough Claws, as well as being a good Z-move user, because it gets quite a bit of coverage. And then it was an offensive Stealth Rock user. So it was an offensive mon that can set up Stealth Rocks. Whereas at this point I had only had Jirachi for Stealth Rock, so I knew that I wanted at least, 1 to 2 other very good rock setters. So Lycanroc Dusk was gone, and there weren't any more mons that kind of fit that mold of what I wanted. So like offensive rocks. Lycanroc Dusk also had amazing priority in Accelerock. My priority game as of this point was kind of weak, so yeah, getting an offensive rocker was kind of out of the question at this point. And the best mon that I felt was available was Snorlax, which I've only used once before in a shit league that pretty much died after a couple weeks. It's a really fun mon to use. Obviously, its stats. It's been around since Gen 1. If you don't know what the fuck a Snorlax does, why are you watching this video? How are you even watching this video? Yeah, Snorlax is gonna be fun. I don't have much more to say. Oh yeah, I do have one more thing to say. So one of the stupid mons that we allow in CUBA, I think is the stupidest mon that we allow, is Genesect. And Snorlax, if we just look at like Genesect, like typical moves, Genesect doesn't get fighting coverage outside of like HP fighting. So Snorlax, low key, is the fucking Genesect check. Like that's a fucking +1 U-turn from Genesect. It even if it's like some full like physically offensive shit, like it's still, Snorlax can fucking chew Genesect hits, which is nuts, and then just like heal that shit up with Recycle Figgy Berry. So low key, Snorlax is a fucking god here. So thank you for being the one Genesect answer, because that mon is broken as hell. Alright. Next pick I wanted, I knew it was either going to be Donphan or Seismitoad. Donphan got picked 2 picks before me, so that left me with Seismitoad. So Donphan provides Rapid Spin. Seismitoad does not, but they're both ground types. At this point I did not have an electric immunity, and outside of like Silvally Ground, which is retarded. And of course I needed more Stealth Rocks, because at this point having Jirachi as my only Stealth Rocker is pretty fucking bad, because then it just gets pigeonholed into that role every week, which, if you pigeonhole things like Jirachi and Mew into just one role, why did you even draft it? It's shit. Seismitoad, Water Absorb. Great typing in Water Ground, which means it's only weak to grass. So if you give this a Rindo Berry, it's pretty much the most guaranteed rocks that you're going to get up in the game. Used it before in CUBA Season 1. Such a solid fucking mon. Such reliable rocks. Knockoff is great. Free knockoffs are always good. Scald, you know, is a good move. And then it gets enough coverage, so shit like Earth Power, Ice Beam. Oh, not Ice Beam, Ice Punch. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. And like it can go offensive with Swift Swim, but that's only if like the matchup is really good. Yeah, Seismitoad is a solid fucking mon. Good defenses, acceptable attack, fun to use. It's free fucking rocks. It's good at switching into waters. It gets, you know, obviously the electric community is huge. It's a really nice fucking Pokemon. Very reliable stealth rock user. And then last pick, Mega-Medicham. Already talked about how fucking dope this is. Nice to have a really good wall breaker, because like outside of Mega-Medicham, if we just look at this team, I mentioned in pretty much when I was talking about the Pokemon, like I pretty much mentioned every one provides momentum or bulk or both. So yeah, this team is definitely lacking a little bit in the power department outside of like Darkrai and let's see, Snorlax probably. It has mons that can go offensive too, but nothing that just has the fucking power of Mega-Medicham. So like 268 times 2, that's over 500 attack. Yeah. And then you add in High Jump Kick and Drain Punch and Zen Headbutt and shit to the mix. It's a very strong Pokemon. I have used it before, back when I was kind of new to Draft League, and I think I understand it a little more now, and I'm going to try and work in more like tech options, so shit like Substitute, and just kind of knowing when opponent switches are coming, rather than just kind of running just 4 coverage moves every single week. Yeah, fun mon to use. It does get Baton Pass, surprisingly. Bullet Punch and Fake Out are pretty much my main priority options with this team at this point, so that is probably something that I'll look to address in trades and free agency. Is, you know, priority and Stealth Rock Setters, probably the main weaknesses of this team. But overall, I think it synergizes pretty well in the idea of trying to set up Darkrai for clean sweeps. So we can have like Seismitoad, very reliable hazard setter, get them up early. Same for Galvantula and Sticky Webs, which will allow Mega-Medicham to just bust holes in everything. And then a lot of my other mons work well at just kind of supporting these. So providing status, you know, flinching shit down, gaining momentum with U-turn, Volt Switch, Parting Shot, shit like that. And yeah, just being bulky and taking hits. So then shit like Darkrai, Mega-Medicham, and then maybe a couple other options like Togekiss, Jirachi, or Snorlax can clean up. So yeah, that's the draft. I'm not really a YouTuber, so if you have thoughts, you can leave them in the comments. I don't care. Bye.